Another new one for us this year, Realm of Terror in Round Lake Beach. We've heard a lot about this one. What'd you think, Laura?
I liked it. I did like it. When we first went in, I was like, oh, this is great because they had all kinds of, really good sets. The actors in there were fantastic. I mean, it was really, really good. They had a movie to start that was very realistic. I mean, it really got off to a good start. I really, really enjoyed it. But then the only downside is that there's a long, well, actually, I can't even say it's a dark maze. It's actually like a light maze with like fog and strobe lights. So you can't really see in front of you. And then it goes into a dark maze, which is the second half, which the first half of it was fantastic. I mean, that was a 5 chainsaw haunt for the first part. I mean, the first half. And it says the other, you're only halfway done, but actually the mazes actually weren't quite as long as the first part. But, like I said, the way that it ended was a little disappointing just because of the, to me that's not really scary, just being, trying to find your way in the dark or, in the light where you can't see anything. So, I guess the first part 5 all the way, but with the second part probably about a 3. So overall I have to say 4 out of 5 for
Okay.
chainsaws.
I'm going to agree with that. The first part of this haunt was really good. It was a research facility where things had gone wrong and creatures were out and patients and former patients and all that kind of thing. We've seen that kind of theme before. Personally, it's not my most exciting type of theme, but if it's done well, it's good. And this one was done well. There were younger actors and older actors, excellent makeup, some really elaborate sets in this area. And this isn't a family fun center. It's like in the back area, like in the parking lot area, so you weren't necessarily expecting too much, but really the sets are exceptionally well done. Some of the actors were quite into their roles too. There were about 3 different guys who were climbing from the ceiling, which is always cool to see, and including one guy singing cabaret. Now, I've never seen that in a haunt before. This guy was singing cabaret and rolling around on the ceiling and moving back and forth across. And there were several instances where we had to go underneath a live actor who was like hanging on the wall. Really clever, including one. This was my favorite scene of the whole first part of the haunt. There was an autopsy table or a surgery table where the torso, the bottom part of a torso was on the table. So the legs down were on the table. And up on the wall was what looked like a dummy, the top portion of the body connected by some guts that were across, and the guts were laying across the legs, so you had to figure out, well, do I go under these, do I go over these, whatever. Well, it turns out the top portion is a real person, and he starts flailing around and the guts start moving and all that. I mean, it was really clever, and it really looked like it was fake. I like little things like that. That was great. But then I have to say, I was let down by the second half of the haunt. Okay, and you see a sign when you walk in that says you've made it halfway. All right, so you think, wow, we're only halfway through. Well, unfortunately, after you step into the second half, it goes from, wow, we're only halfway through, to, oh man, we're only halfway through. And I mean that because it's a white maze with strobes followed by a dark maze. And I'm not a fan of either one of these if they're done for too long of a duration. And although this really wasn't technically the second half, it was more like the last third of the haunt, it still was completely uninteresting to me. As soon as I got in there, I'm like, oh well, gotta muddle through this, find my way out. It just wasn't interesting at all. The white maze, completely disorienting, and some people might find that fun. I only find it fun for a limited time. So I was just, my mode shifted from enjoying the haunt to, okay, well, I want to get out now.
Right.
And then when we went to the dark maze, the same thing. I thought, okay, well, come on, let's go. There was one good thing in the dark maze. I thought it was kind of neat. There was a sound of a beep, beep, like an operating room table, and a heartbeat that got louder as you got closer to it. So that was clever, But overall, I'm happy that we didn't encounter anybody else in there, because meaning other visitors, because that makes it even worse, where you get stuck with a bunch of people and you don't know where you're going. And I have to say, this was a 5-star haunt until I got there, and I'm going to have to take off a chainsaw and a half for that. That was not good. The overall rating, 3.5 from me.